How's it going? It's Matt with Olympus Reptiles. And if you've been watching our videos during this hatching season, you've probably heard me use the term hold back. And what that is, that's a snake that we keep for ourselves. And so we were keeping it for a certain aspect. And I'm not going to lie to you, I picked what I think is the best one, the most interesting one. That's the best part about being a breeder, is you get to keep the best stuff back. So this time, what I want to show you is all of our holdbacks from last year that we held from 2015. And we're now almost a year old. You know, they'd have been hatching the same time. So we'll go through the ones we held back first. This was 150101, which means that this was actually the first hatchling I ever hatched. He's a little male. He's got a really cool belly pattern. Come on, show your belly. Show your belly. How cool that is. Really awesome. And what he is he looks like just a normal, but he's actually double het for SK Exanthic and also albino. So he's het snow. We do want to work some snow projects. We wanted to keep one male back that we knew was double het. He came from pairing an Exanthic spider to a visual albino. So we know he's 100% het for both. And you can see he's put on some good weight for his first year. He's doing pretty good. Really happy with how this guy has turned out. Hey, get back in there. I'll move you to your tub here in a minute. Next up, we have his sister. It's not her best time to show her, but it's when we're doing the video. And I know her tub looks kind of disgusting. It's a little bit moist in there and whatnot, but that's okay because she's in shed. And when they're in shed, I let them get the cage gross and moist. I think it helps the shed. The more moisture they spill, and you can see her eyes are really blue. So there you are. So she's definitely in shed. She's actually a really nice looking spider. When she was born, she had a light silver mark, which is still visible post shed. It's not really easy to see when she's in shed. It's really kind of a strange marking. So you can't see it right now though. But that would be the other one's sister, and I believe her number is it 03? Is that right? 150103?
02.
02, 150102. So she was the second hatchling. We kept our first two hatchlings. And she is also 100% het, albino, and Exanthic. And yeah, so that's our snow project going on. We'll put her back up. I don't want to keep her out too long since she's in the middle of shed cycle. You can see she's put on some really nice weight for 1 year. Pretty happy with that. We also did keep back one bumblebee. I believe this was from clutch number 3. Is that correct?
Yep.
She's in her water dish. She's pretty much emptied. And you can see why we kept her back. She's kept her color really, really well. She's still really bright. She chunks in at almost 1,000 grams at 1 year old, so she's growing really good. She eats like a horse most of the time, and she's still really bright. You know, a lot of times the bees will start to dim out really bad. But as you can see, color's good. She kept some of that digital camo look that I like. And another thing that I like on my bees is I don't like a lot of spots. Like I like the alien heads to completely wash out. And you can see she doesn't have a lot of spots. Very clean through there. I mean, she's got one there. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I like to get rid of. And you can see through her, she doesn't have many at all. Same with the spider we held back. I didn't talk about that. But I like my spiders and my bees to be very clean on those. I also like when you have a lot of the pattern that's just goes across like this and doesn't connect through the back. So those are things I look for. Does it mean it's better? It's better for me. It's better for my eyes. Some people would prefer to have it more going like this with the lines. It's kind of whatever you want. But I hold back what looks best to me, and that was why we chose her. She's doing wonderful. And last but certainly not least was the prize of last year. And that was we hatched one killer bee, and we did hold her back. And this is Electra. And just for, you know, for comparison purpose, you can really see the color difference between a nice bee and a killer even. How much more pale this is and washed out. It's really cool. The killers hold the color amazingly well. That is not the killer's head, that's the bee's head if you're curious. The killer's head will be much more reduced. There it is. Just awesome. And you can actually see them both for comparison if you want right now, I think. So really cool. She's like, let me back into my pen. So this one was what our goal was last year. This was a snake I was chasing, was a killer bee with that particular clutch. You can see she does have a little bit of a wobble. She gets confused upside down, you know, and that's typical of most spiders. She eats perfect, and she really only shows signs of that when you pick her up, when she's being handled. and it's an up-down thing for her where she'll get kind of twisted. She doesn't have any problems in the cage. She does perfect. And you can see how fat she is. So she eats really, really well. And she actually does weigh over 1,000 grams already. So I couldn't be happier. She has a lot of spotting, but the pattern is completely broken all the way through. So really awesome snake. I was really excited for her to hatch. So that is 2015's Holdback. So if you ever decide to breed, that's what you get, the pleasure of doing. You get the pleasure of seeing these guys crawl out of the egg, watch them grow up, and then eventually breeding them as well and seeing the offspring they can produce. And that is really cool because you get to not just go out and get, say, a bumblebee or go out and get whatever morph it is you're chasing. You get to create it, and you get to kind of tailor it the way you want. Like keeping this bee here, I'm keeping it for specific traits in that bee that I hope it passes on, that I can continue to reduce that pattern with. Not just, hey, it's a bee. It's specific to how I want my bees to look. I want them to be a little bit different. I want them to look the way I like. So that is really cool. Same with the spider. If you look at her again, you'll see she has no dots. None at all. One right there, actually. I forgot about that one. There's a few line breaks where it looks like a dot. It's a line continuation. It's a very clean pattern. Hers is more connected than the bee I showed you. But there's, which I like it when it's just banded. What I really look for is none of those dots. I think that looks really cool. And that's what I would like to breed on. I also really like when the line drops clear into the pattern or into the belly like that. And you can see a lot of her lines. See, some of them stop short. But she has a lot of them that teardrop all the way through. This one even wrapping around into the belly. See? And that's something else I look for and I like. So I like those big lines going down with no spots. So whenever I create a bee or anything with spider, I'm picking my Holdback. That's what I look for. It's my little trade secret. Some people are going to look for something totally different though. So it's kind of whatever you want. Any questions, Kurt?
So on those, on some of those snakes, you said you're working on like kind of a snow project.
Correct.
What are other products you got going on with the bumblebee and the killer bee?
With the bumblebee, the project is probably going to put the calico male to the bumblebee now that he's proven out, and we're going to go for some calico pastels, some caliders or colliders, depending on how you want to announce that, and some calabees. I really like when calico and pastel and spider play together. Spider already has a high white coming up in the sides, and calico just blows that up all up the side. It looks really, really cool. So I really wanted to work some calico into those things, so that was the point of keeping her. The killer bee, I can put almost anything to really, we could put like a lesser pastel to it and go for some like killer queens and things like that. So there's a lot of options we have with the killer bee, and basically the reason I kept her is I can do anything with her that I can do with her. But this just amplifies it, because this guarantees I pass on that pastel gene. And what I really want to do to run this as economically as possible is make as few normals as possible. So you'll see me hold back a lot of supers as the years go on. So like super pastel, that's a keeper, a bell, something like that. Those are things I want in my pocket for breeding, because I can control then that I don't make normals. And it's, not that I'm money hungry, but I want to be able to run this free of charge to me by selling off the offspring. And if we can make some money at it, hey, that's great too. I mean, we'll never get the amount that we put into it. I know that as far as the amount of work it takes, but I can control that by keeping the supers. So that was my point in keeping her, and these two's point was just for the snow project. I really like exanthic stuff. It's my favorite gene. It's not the world's best seller. It sells well, but not as good as like bells and pieds and albinos. But I like exanthic, so I keep a lot of exanthic stuff for the projects I want to work. So these are dual purpose snow, and once we're done with snows, I can use her to make like other exanthic projects as well. So very cool stuff there. Any other questions?
Nope.
Awesome. All right, guys, don't forget to subscribe, keep watching us, and we'll see you all again next week.